Hello, everybody. It's me, Carmine DeStefano, the BookMan. Recently, so many of my favorite woke police types decided to gang up on those poor leftists they love so much when it comes to video games. See, I didn't really talk about that per se in my last video explaining what Hollywood truly is. So let me kind of give you a little bit of insight in what's happening now. First off, they call it Gamergate, and anytime you do that, I want to slap you across the face. Just so that you know, whether it's Bountygate or Spygate or this dumb shit Gamergate, it was called the Watergate Hotel. That's why it was called the Watergate Scandal. It's not that you put gate at the end of every word to make it an insidious act. It's called the Watergate Hotel. So stop fucking doing that, which of course you won't do. But apparently it turns out that somebody leaked a video on a public panel where one of the representatives of the BlackRock investment firm explained how they use some sort of nefarious tactics to ensure that inclusion includes everybody. And this, of course, spurred a whole lot of backlash, leading to people from Sweet Baby Inc. describing their position and why so many people that don't like their works should kind of just shut up and mind their business. Well, folks, there is a problem with your perception, and I just want to kind of correct you again. Now, remember, I'm doing this for you. I love all you adorable little fuckers, and I want you to truly grasp what is happening around you. You can't really defeat anybody if you don't know who the enemy is. And it really happened when I finished Arkham Knight for a second time as an old man with no tolerance for anything anymore, and a little bit more of a perception, seeing as how this concept of wokeness is something that just won't go away. Not in the people that want to present it, or the people that want to bitch about it, or use that fucking word over and over again ad nauseum. And that was, you know what's funny about this overbloated 20+ hour Batman game? They really make Bruce Wayne / Batman look like a pile of dog shit, don't they? He can't get anything right, and he leaves all of his closest companions vulnerable to be completely destroyed in one way or another, thusly destroying him as a character, like everyone that had a problem with Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League was complaining about involving the heroes in those games, with the only exception, of course, being Wonder Woman. And it just occurred to me that when you look back, and as I've said with the Hollywood thing, considering what you so-called conservatives believe is woke, since the 80s movies were woke, so let's look at video games for instance. Now, you all loved The Last of Us, but wasn't Joel one of the worst human beings on the face of the earth that massacred so many people in a hospital looking to save humanity, including a woman that was begging for him to just put the gun down and let them do what they had to do to not allow the species to go under in a fungal rage, and he shot her point blank in the face. Where was Sweet Baby or Uranita Sarkeesian back then? Where were they when they made a whole series of games involving Grand Theft Auto and other terrible acts and men looking like assholes and constantly having sex with prostitutes even if they were married or whatever? Where were they when Sony and its West Coast-based entire United States groupings decided to turn a character who seemed to be a very forward-thinking and intelligent archaeologist and made him into just a complete buffoon of a thief that stole the name of somebody far greater than him and tried to drag so many of his beloved, including his devoted wife, despite her more than likely moving on a long time before they even got married, in the muck with his boyish dreams. Where were they when BioWare decided to embrace every last bit of sexual identity and preference? Where were they all these years when so much of what you consider woke was happening in your beloved video games. Games that you really appreciate. Where were they exactly? Oh, that's right, they weren't there. Because the problem isn't these two boogie women or boogie entities. The problem is that, as I've mentioned before, you're talking about games either made for or made in the United States. Let's do another history check. All my life, United States gaming was pretty much non-existent because all the best titles came from Japan. And that hasn't changed, and it's never going to change. Japan's better at everything than the United States, as is pretty much the entire fucking world. What it comes down to, folks, is that the United States doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your politics or your beliefs. They found the internet, and all these rich cocksuckers that own the United States sent their free interns out to kind of use surveys and other data and then just mined it completely in order to find out that there was a cash cow, a treasure trove, if you will, of untapped potential customer base. Because here in the United States, I'm not sure what parts you live in, but considering all the years I've been alive and all my experience in pain and suffering I wouldn't wish on anybody in my near 50 years on this planet, I've come to the conclusion that what they really want is they want a bunch of mindless consumerist drones that use all their money to buy shit they don't need to make the fat cats even fatter and richer. So, if they found some kind of demographic that didn't just include all the people they think are always going to come back, you know, those young males, they are going to try to exploit it. And if you have a problem with that, that's a YP, not a TP, otherwise known as their problem. It's your problem. And they will use their bully fascism and public disgracing to ensure that you get in line, because that's what these fuckers are all about. We're going to spend money and we're going to make oodles of it back, and you're going to be a part of it, whether you like it or not. So they're going to force people into believing that they are one side or another, continue to build those divisions between all of us here in the United States so we can keep arguing about it, but ultimately you're going to go and buy the fucking thing anyway. And this is one of the reasons why Sony and Microsoft and your beloved PC gaming decided to go full digital, because you can't return anything you bought online. Or you probably could, but since online laws haven't really been finalized or hashed out perfectly yet, you are going to take it up the ass for a while before you can get a partial refund, or they might throw in some free DLC for a game you don't want to play anymore. One of the reasons I keep going to GameStop, I can trade in what I don't like, unless I bought it digitally, and then I'm fucked. But even so, I trade in what I don't like. Not a big deal. So, seeing as I am here to help you, I want you all to do something simplistic, because the United States doesn't have any politics. So instead of arguing with each other about politics, let's just think clearly for a second here, okay? There is nothing wrong whatsoever in any way, shape, or form to accept people for who they are and to want people to live the lives they want to live. This is not about politics, it's not about ideology, it's just basic human decency. To force people into having to live specific lives, whether or not they want to, or do things, or believe things, whether or not they want to, or accept things they don't want to force people. That's a problem, and a problem that I have tremendous issues with. In fact, I just want you to understand, because it doesn't seem as though you know politics all that well. If anybody is telling you you have to do something, you're supposed to do something, you should do something, or you must do something, that is a dictatorship. That is not liberal. Liberal is just letting people live out their lives however they want to live. You ever hear of a liberal parent that told their kids, you better do as I say or I'll kick your ass? Typically, one of the problems with society here in the United States is the fact that parents are too fucking liberal and let their kids run the damn show. That's an issue with liberalism, but that is not, by any stretch of the imagination, being dictated to. Being dictated to is a dictatorship. I'm just trying to make sure you understand that. So these so-called leftists, They're not leftist if they're forcing you to buy into something. They're dictators, just posing as leftist because it seems like the cool thing to do now. And your Sweet Baby Inc., they are just pawns in all this, but highly paid pawns. And it's not their fault, really. They are a bunch of Canadian pretentious douchebags that think they know better than everybody else, barely got an education their parents didn't pay their way through, and can't write worth a fucking shit. But, do you watch video games or do you play video games? Can you sit there for 40, 50 minutes at a time looking at a cutscene that gives you a controller you could pretty much just put your dick in your hands with and have the same effect of? Maybe even a better one, because you'd probably enjoy yourself if you were pounding off instead of watching this shit. What is the point of playing a game if you're gonna sit there and watch fucking storylines? Some of the greatest games of all time didn't have much of a storyline. Most of my favorite games don't have a storyline, or one that's even remotely conceivable, or completely batshit insane that it might as well not have a storyline. Like No More Heroes 3, phenomenal game. No storyline whatsoever, or if it is, it was just fucking stupidity. There were even cutscenes where he's talking about Japanese movies. It's fucking ridiculous, but that's one of the things that made it great. The Bayonetta series, phenomenal. Yeah, it's great to see games that have good storylines like role-playing games because you are gonna sit there, but if you don't really have any choice in what you're doing and you're not actually playing a game, then it's a bad video game. It doesn't matter who they included in it. It doesn't matter what the writing is. A bad game is a bad game. And a good game, stay with me, is a good game if it's fun to play and you want to do it again. The storyline doesn't fucking matter if the game sucks. The problem is not the writing, it's the games suck. That's the problem. AAA, United States-based games are trying too hard to be movies, and they're fucking terrible. And this is a problem since 2013 or even before that. Now, I will admit that I totally marked out to The Last of Us when I first played it, and played through all the Uncharted games and all the God of War games. I had PlayStations 1 through 4, and it took me till I was about 40 years old before I realized, boy, this is shit. Even though I would play them twice and then stop in the middle or not even and say, I'm bored out of my mind, fuck this game. Whatever the case, I would get them opening day, I would play through them, I would say, ooh boy, the graphics were nice, the storyline, whatever, the acting was great, whatever. And then I'd play it again, and it was garbage. Repetitive action, seen it a million times, done it a million times, complete and total trash. The problem that you have is not with the writing, it's with the gameplay. If these were great games, as I mentioned with BioWare, you would not have any issues with a planet of women that has sex with women. You wouldn't have any issues with all that nefarious inclusion that's trying to transform children and make us all pray to Baphomet and demons and pedophiles and all this other stupid shit. You wouldn't care if the games were good. So, here's my solution. Just get a fucking Switch and just play Nintendo games or Japanese-centric games, which are all on the Switch. The only decent AAA games are on the Switch anyway. What does it matter? There's word that they're going to be releasing a new console soon. Maybe it's every bit of hardware and technical analytics that make you all excited, and DPS and FPS and all that stupid shit. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough, and I'll be there with you. But I'm not making money off Nintendo. I'm just saying because I'm concerned for all of you and what you feel is entertainment. So if this is angering you so much, Switch. No big deal. Cheapest console. You don't have to worry about hardware or software. Best gaming console I can possibly explain to you. It's phenomenal. And if you don't and you want to keep playing AAA games, getting fucked over, trust me, this wokeness, it's never going away. It will never leave you. It's a fad now, and it's going to continue. It might even get worse. So, do yourself a favor and tell the AAA gamer community, companies, fuck you, and move back over to Japan. Because aside from what? Quake, Doom, first-person slaughterhouse games, what has the United States really produced in the gaming industry to begin with? And what has Western-biased gaming produced in the last 20 years to begin with? Japan, on the other hand, phenomenal. But you can just do whatever the hell you want. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever makes you happy. Thank you all for watching. I have more for you soon to come, so stay tuned, take care, and have a great day.